fine. And we come back about a week later, and the specialist, male specialist. Now, at this point, we've only been dealing with female clinicians. And this male specialist was very abrupt and I guess didn't have very good table side manner, but they go through the ultrasound process and like, yeah, the baby's gone. Now I'm big and pregnant, right? Starting, I am wide and big, and breasts are in pain, having these vivid dreams. And let me just backtrack really quick. The night before I went to this doctor's appointment, my dogs didn't sit, they never slept in the bed, right? They slept next to the bed. But for whatever reason, this particular night, my middle dog, Parker, he wants to sleep in the bed with me, which I love that. And I remember my partner getting ready to go, my spouse getting ready to go to work. And Parker like growls and snaps at her. And I thought that was like, that's interesting. So I thought maybe he's protecting the baby, right? I wonder if he knew something was wrong. So next day at the doctor's office with this male doctor who was just, here's the thing, I don't know if it's just because he's a boy, or, when you're a lesbian couple, and this is this is 2018, even though it wasn't that long ago, but maybe there's some kind of bias in the room. Or maybe he was having a bad day, but all in all, it was, your baby there's no baby. And I'm like, but I see a baby. Yeah, but that baby's, their heart isn't beating. And it was just like that. And that's how I found out that my baby was gone. So that was it. This dream, this new dream, the dream that I didn't dream as a kid, that I bought into, fell in love with, was all on board with, going forward with, the dream it was gone. It didn't exist. And there was no like going, like you couldn't go back and fix it. And I remember being in that room, laying on that table, and he's like, yeah, no, that's it. And I remember like, well, wait, are you sure? Because I'm going through this and this. Now there were things that happened that felt in line with what he said. The way that Parker was reacting the day before. The day before that, I had been feeling bad and bad and bad every single day until Friday. This appointment was on a Monday. Parker was growling on Sunday, or maybe this appointment was on a Tuesday. Parker was growling on Monday. And on Friday, the Friday before, every bad symptom and nausea and pain and everything that I had been having, it just went away on Friday. Several weeks, months. It was so long, I lost track of time. I don't know. I was there for a long time, not bathing, not brushing my teeth, not washing my face. And I wasn't eating. I just didn't want to do anything. And I couldn't get myself out of this funk. And I remember it was this one night I got up in the middle of the night off the couch, and I just walked into the kitchen and I opened the cabinets. And if you know me, you know how much this probably pained me, but it didn't pain me at the time. But I go into the cabinets, I open every cabinet and I break every glass. I open the cabinet and just start knocking glasses out. Beautiful pieces of china, vintage pieces, just knocking them out of the cabinet and breaking everything. And I remember my grandmother, I felt like I just heard her voice. She's like, stop. And I did. And I go back and I lay back on the couch, something like that. I think I remember just going back to lay back down and being stuck in that space. And my grandmother says, or this feeling, this thing, what I heard, it's like, go bake. And I remember going to bake. Now, obviously, I had to clean up the mess, but I just started baking. And baking and baking and baking and baking. Now, time goes on from here. And so reflecting on my experiences, I often ponder, like, what was the hardest part of navigating grief after my miscarriages? And baking just really became my sanctuary. It became a way for me to channel that grief into something tangible and something healing. So for me, that get up, get off the couch, go bake. That was my message. That was the thing that got me up. Go bake. I kept doing it and I kept doing it. And for me, I felt like I couldn't give love to myself. I had to punish myself, but in some way, me baking these things, these goodies, this love, I was giving it to the folks that I cared about or that cared about me. I was in some way showing myself what love is. And so then therefore I could love. So as strange or interesting as that might be, that's what brought me up, and it was what brought me out.